Good morning, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. My name is Lori, otherwise known as the Frugal Mom. If you're interested in a frugal lifestyle while still living abundantly and enjoying life, and all things mom related, midlife for us ladies, food pantry blessings, lots of frugal cooking, and other fun things, feel free to hit that subscribe button. It's free. And like and comment and all the good things. Well, this morning I thought that I would share with you a few of my Thanksgiving recipes. Now, don't mind my kitchen. I know it looks a little bit like a tornado hit it. But I've been cleaning for the last couple of days, and as I'm cooking today, I'm going to be putting things away. So don't mind that. So one of the things that my family really enjoys that I make is cornbread stuffing. And I've been making it for, gosh, probably 27 years. Over the years, the recipe's changed a little bit, but not by that much. So the first thing you're going to want to start out with is your base. Now, you can make cornbread from scratch if that's what you wish. If you have a gluten intolerance, you can use a gluten-free mix. You can make it gluten-free. I, however, chose to hit the easy button, and I made a pan of Jiffy bread from the Jiffy corn muffin mix. That to me is the easiest way, most economical, so that's what I did. I have a cooling. It's on my kitchen table, and I will show you that later. And then you're going to use a pound of whatever kind of sausage you like. This is mild Jamestown brand sausage. You can use sage flavored. You can use, I'm trying to think, I usually use sweet Italian sausage. Whatever you've got on hand, that's what you can use, whatever you like the flavoring of. And of course, we're going to use some salt and some pepper. Put that over there. An onion. This is medium size, chopped up small. On holidays, we use real butter. So we're going to use probably, I think, a stick of butter. So a half cup of butter. And this is a pound, so what I do with this is what's typically given in our food pantries in the New Jersey area. I just cut it into fours, and I just know that 1/4 of this is a stick, a typical stick, or half a cup. And then I'm going to use about 3 stalks of celery. I'm also going to chop that finely. And some chicken broth to just wet the whole thing. And of course, it wouldn't be me if I didn't use garlic. So here's some garlic. And then I'm going to add a little bit of poultry seasoning at the end. I don't have that out yet. My favorite is Bell's. You can use whatever you like. Sometimes I will add a little bit of extra thyme. I might do that today. I'd like to smell it first and see if the poultry season has imparted enough of that flavor. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to get my butter in my pan, and I'm going to get chopping my vegetables, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've got my mild sausage in my large frying pan, and I'm using my little, meat breaker upper, meat separator, I guess. And I'm just browning it, and I'm going to keep doing that until it's nice and broken up into small pieces. Then I'm going to take it out of the pan. I'm going to leave all the drippings in the pan. I'm going to add my butter, and I'm going to add my vegetables. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's browned. So the sausage is all browned, and I took it out of the frying pan. I put it into this bowl, and as you can see, it's very hot. I've left the drippings in the pan. Now, the reason you want to do that is because you want to impart all that sausagey flavor into your cornbread and into your vegetables. Even though you're going to put butter in there, it flavors the butter. It's very savory and it's delicious. Why waste all that goodness, right, guys? Okay, so I am going to get these vegetables going, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So I figured I would just chat while I'm cutting up the celery. I've got the butter melted in the frying pan. I'm not sure if you can see the steam coming up from the pan. I just threw diced celery on the floor. Oops. This is real life, right? I talk with my hand, so my hand had my knife in it, so that's what happened. Anyway, so I'm cutting up my celery. I've got about 3 stalks, and depending on, you know, what it looks like, I might add another one. I should add that this is enough to probably serve, I would say, 6 comfortably with all the other sides. However, if you had a bigger crowd or you wanted a lot of leftovers, you can double the recipe. Some years I've had to do that. Stephen will be here today. He's going to spend the holiday with his parents. His parents are up in age, so he wants to make sure that he gets in all the time that he can with them, and I certainly appreciate that. He's blessed to have them. Both of my parents have been gone a long time, unfortunately, but they are here with us in spirit. So I am dicing up the celery. You don't want to give it too strong a flavor, but you still want the stuffing to have a nice, strong, hearty celery flavor. If you like to use the leafy tops, you can, of course, always chop that up and throw it in. Why not? It's just extra nutrients. If you don't, just, you know, wash it good, put it to the side, because we are going to be making some turkey rice vegetable soup, which you need some good homemade turkey stock for. And I always try to, you know, use every part of the bird. You know, whether it be chicken, you know, even a ham bone. I try to make bone broth, waste not, want not. And, you know, when you make those homemade bone broths, they are so nutrient dense and so good for you. You know, they really cure what ails. Lots of vitamins, lots of minerals, and it's not that hard to do. And I think I have shown you how to do that before, but in case I haven't, I will. I have some that I canned last year, but I'm going to make some more. So I'm going to make, like I said, a nice big pot of turkey vegetable rice soup. We don't have a very big turkey this year. It's a 10-pounder, but it will certainly be enough to make a good amount of some yummy stock. And bone broth, what have you. It'll be bone broth because it'll be cooking with vegetables and bones, and it'll be strained, and yeah, it'll be bone broth. So, stock, bone broth. There's a slight difference, and in another video I will explain that. I'll explain that probably when I show you how to make the bone broth. So I'm going to lower the heat on our onions and butter, because I don't want them to get too brown. But in any case, I save all the scraps from my veggies, and I just throw them right into my Instant Pot. That's what I like to use to make my bone broth. If you have a crock pot, you could do it there as well. You can also do it on your stovetop. It takes about half the time in an Instant Pot than it does in a crock pot, and really like a quarter of the time that it would take if you were doing it on your stovetop. But, you know, you can utilize whatever you got and make it work, right, guys? I'm just about ready with my celery to add it to the pan. And you want to cook them until they're soft. My onions are getting nice and soft. I always put the onions in first because they tend to take the longest. And then I'll add my celery. And I can see that brownness from the delicious sausage has seeped into my onions. It smells good. Now I'm just going to let this cook a little bit, and I will be back. So there's our pound of butter, and I've scored it. I don't know if you can see the slices in it, but I did cut it into 4. I'm just going to leave it out on the counter because as I cook, I'm going to use the whole pound of butter. Yes, I'm going to use a whole pound of butter for Thanksgiving dinner. Oh my goodness, don't call the food police on me. Of course I'm being sarcastic, sorry guys. This is what the veggies look like when they're all cooked down. Now the light is a little bit off. I have a fluorescent light over me in my kitchen. They're not quite as brown as they're appearing. So, just wanted to explain that. So I'm just gonna let these sit here for a minute and let them cool slightly. Okay, so I'm still waiting for my cornbread to cool a little bit. So while that's going on, I am going to show you my spinach broccoli casserole. This is a recipe that I have been making for about 23 years, and it comes from this cookbook. Let me show it to you guys. Eating Thin for Life. So about that time period, 23 years ago, I managed to lose about 55 pounds through Weight Watchers, and I did so by using a lot of these recipes. Now these are modified a little bit because I'm not going to use non-fat mayo, and I'm not going to use Healthy Request cream of chicken soup, and I know cream of chicken soup is kind of controversial the past couple of days. And I am using Campbell's brand. It's what I grew up on, and it's all good. I have used this recipe so often that the book just opens to it. So I'm gonna show you my slightly modified version. It's delicious. It's cooked in a water bath at 350. It's kind of hard to describe when it's done. It sort of takes on like a souffle consistency. So you want to just make sure that it's firm, but not too brown on the top. And if it starts to brown on the top, you want to make sure that you cover it with a little bit of tin foil until it's set. So let's get started. Let me tell you what we're going to use. We're going to whisk 3 eggs, and we are going to use the whole cream of chicken can, sorry guys, and about 1/3 of a cup, give or take, of mayonnaise, your favorite mayonnaise. You can use non-fat if that's what you like. Let me think what else. And where did I put my cheese? Well, I thought I took my cheese out. Well, I will show it to you. You will use 1/2 of a cup of grated or shredded Parmesan cheese, whatever brand that you like, and you basically mix it all together with your chopped broccoli and chopped spinach, and you're going to use 10 ounces each. And I have that in my sink, all drained. I squeezed the excess liquid out of it. That's really important, or it'll come out very, very watery. So any brand that you like, if you want to buy fresh and do that yourself and steam them, that's fine too. However, I bought frozen. And if you're buying frozen and you're using frozen, you want to let it sit out on your counter overnight so it's nice and thawed. I'm going to get to putting it together and I'll show you. Okay, so here is our broccoli and spinach, the chopped variety. Like I said, it's been drained, squeezed of all the water. 1 can of Campbell's, or whatever brand you've got, cream of chicken soup. We've got our mayo. This is a little bit more than 1/3 of a cup. Not much more though. And then this is 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. Now you do not need to add salt and pepper to this. It's got enough flavor from the cheese and the soup. And now I'm going to whisk my 3 eggs and put it in. I'm going to mix it all together. I have sprayed a glass baking dish with a little bit of Pam cooking spray, or whatever brand you have. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like when I put it in the water bath. And here is our broccoli spinach casserole in our glass baking dish. You're going to want to make sure that you spread it out evenly with your spatula. That way you get even cooking. This is a 9x13 Pyrex. You're going to fill that about halfway up with water, and you want to place your casserole right in the middle of that. What this is going to do is kind of gently steam the casserole, and it comes out with a very custardy sort of consistency, which makes it ultra delicious. You want the water to go about halfway up the glass dish with the casserole in it, and if it doesn't go halfway up, you just take a measuring cup and just add some more. Alrighty, and there's our casserole in its water bath. I'm not sure if you guys can see, I'm trying to get around the sides of it, but the water is about halfway up the casserole dish. And now we're just going to put this in the oven. It's at 350, it's been preheated, and we're going to let it cook for 25 minutes and then we'll check it. Another thing we're making is sweet potato casserole. Yes, the famous kind with the mini marshmallows on top. So what I've got here is a pot of boiling water, and I put my sweet potatoes in the boiling water, and I'm going to boil them until they are soft. Then we're going to take them out and we're going to let them cool. They'll still be warm enough for me to peel the skins off very easily, but they won't be boiling hot. So I've got, for us, I would say we've got 5 sweet potatoes. These were on sale this week at my supermarket. I live in the East, so we have ShopRites. These were 2 for $3, so that's a great deal. So the other bag that I have, I'm going to either save for Christmas or to eat in between now and then. You can do so much with sweet potatoes, but that's another video. So it takes a while to boil these, so they'll just be going while I do everything else. You know, you have to be very organized and be able to jump from thing to thing while you're cooking. It takes a while to learn that skill. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let them boil. I will pierce them with a fork to make sure the fork goes all the way through. That's how you know they're done. If the fork does not go all the way through, just boil them for a little bit longer. It usually takes about a half hour, 40 minutes. Okay, so here's our cornbread. It's cool. And I know you can probably see some of the score marks. Oh, there you go. The light's better this way. So here's the cornbread, and I have cubed it. So you don't want to make your cubes too small, otherwise when you mix it all together it will mush up. Making the cubes bigger kind of allows the cubes to break up a little bit but not be mush, if that makes sense. So all I am going to do is put this in the frying pan where our vegetables are, and the butter and the bacon grease and all that goodness. We're going to mix it in there, and that's so the cornbread can soak up all that goodness. And then I'm going to use the very same 8x8 casserole, and I'm going to generously butter it. That way we don't have to do more dishes, right? Okay, so here is our stuffing mix. We've got our vegetables in there. We've got 1 egg. We've got the sausage, the cornbread, and a splash, just a splash for now, of chicken stock. Also, I put about a tablespoon of Bell's turkey seasoning, poultry seasoning rather, not just turkey. You can put it on anything really. It used to be called Bell's poultry seasoning, but I find it interesting they took that out of it. I guess people put it in other things. My mother has used this. Well, my mother used this. Unfortunately, she's not with us anymore, but she used to use this, and that's why I use it, because it's what I grew up with, and I think it's delicious. I also added some extra thyme to it, a little bit of salt, about 15 cracks of pepper. You add what you like. You may need to add a little bit more broth as we mix this, because you don't want it to be too soppy and you don't want it to be too dry. So I'm going to mix this all up, and then I'll put it in the casserole and I'll show you what it looks like. There's our stuffing. I did add a couple more drops of broth to it. This is an 8x8 Pyrex dish. And it's great that you can bake this right in the casserole dish that you made your cornbread in. Now, when my turkey comes out of the oven, what I will do while it's resting, I will put a couple dots of butter on top of this to keep it moist, and I will bake it off at 350. There's our broccoli spinach casserole. It's still doing its thing, and our sweet potatoes are still boiling. So a good thing about the oven being on all day is I can lower my heat. That's another little frugal tip. If you know you're going to be baking or roasting something, just let that heat warm up your house. It's not that cold out here today. It's going to be in the mid-40s. I'm a little warm, so I've got my window open a little bit to get me some fresh air. You guys know I can't stand being hot. So our sweet potatoes are still boiling. They're almost to the point where they're soft enough to take out and let them cool. And the stuffing is all ready to go in the oven in a few hours. And the broccoli spinach casserole is doing its thing. I sat down for about 15 minutes and took a cat nap, and now I'm going to start working on some other things. Okay guys, you guessed it. It's time for the star of the show to go into the oven. Now I might want to mention that I don't stuff my turkey. If you do, that's fine. My mom just never did it, and therefore I never did it. So you do you, whatever you guys like. So this is the turkey that we were blessed with this year from the food pantry. I am so grateful for this little turkey. This is almost 11 pounds and it has been brined. So I am going to unwrap it and clean it very thoroughly. Make sure my giblets and my neck are out. I am going to pat it dry. I'm going to put salt on the inside of the cavity. And then I am going to put it into my roasting pan. Always make sure that you have a large enough baking sheet underneath to support the bottom. I am going to liberally brush my turkey with some canola oil. I'm going to put a little bit of salt, that's fine sea salt, some pepper, some Bell's Poultry seasoning, a little bit of garlic powder because, you know, I love my garlic, some thyme, and for those of you who haven't heard of this, some bacon. And I will show you what that all looks like when I get back. So, most important thing to do is make sure that you are very clean whenever you prepare any kind of poultry. So, I am rinsing my turkey in a bowl. Afterwards, it will go into my dishwasher, which will be run with very hot water later on. I will scour out my sink and I will wipe all of my surfaces that touched the turkey or the turkey came in contact with, and my turkey hands with hot water and disinfectant. All right, guys, I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm drying off my turkey. I washed my hands very, very thoroughly in warm water before I touched my phone. And now, like I said, I'm just drying him. I'm drying him inside the cavity. And he's a happy little bird. So normally I like to get a bigger turkey, but this is what we were gifted. And my sister's not too crazy for roast turkey. So I usually like to make a tiny little ham that I get usually at grocery outlet or Aldi. So now I am going to brush our little turkey. I think he's gonna do us just fine. So I'll brush him. The nice part about this is he's not going to take all day long to cook, although I am going to cook him slow and low on 325. I've got some sausage balls in the oven. They're Bisquick sausage balls. They're delicious. They're very easy to make. I will show you how to do those another time. I think maybe I should do a video on appetizers for holidays. You want to make sure that you're getting him nice and lubed up. Some people like to use melted butter. I prefer oil. You can use any oil you like. I just happen to have a huge container of canola, and I find that it crisps up the skin pretty nicely. I'm going to make sure I get the turkey legs and the wings real nice. Let me go in there again. And of course, whatever oil I don't use, it's just going to go in the garbage, guys, because you don't want to pour it back into the container. Now, if your turkey has that little plastic carrying thing, I cut it off because I don't like to cook in plastic or put any of my food in plastic. I don't want microplastics getting into my food. And I know they're everywhere, but makes me feel a little bit better. So now he's nice and lubed up. And this is when we're going to give him a nice little massage. We're going to get close and personal with our turkey. So I'm going to put a good amount of sea salt in my hand. Remember, this is almost 11 pounds, so it looks like it's a lot, but it's not. And I'm kind of gonna sprinkle it everywhere. I'm gonna get some in the cavity, and I will rub it in. I'm actually gonna put a little bit more. I do it a little at a time because, you know, once you put it in, you can't take it out. So, and I'm keeping one hand clean. That's always important when you're working with poultry. And I'm just gonna rub the salt into him, on his legs and his thighs, give him some love. I've got some salt that went into the pan. Now usually I use my reusable pan, but to tell you the truth, guys, your girl is tired this year, so we're gonna do sort of like a semi-homemade kind of vibe, and that is gonna be okay. Everything will still be delicious. Mostly everything is completely from scratch. And even if it wasn't, if you're not making anything or much at all from scratch, please don't let anybody shame you for that. There are some years where that's just what happens, right? It doesn't really matter what you guys are eating. just who's there with you, right? So I just put some thyme on the turkey. Again, this is my yucky hand and this is my clean hand. I'm gonna put some garlic powder, just a little though. I don't wanna overdo it. All right. And then we're gonna put our bells. For this, I'm gonna have to wash my hand. Again, clean hand, touching the faucet and the sink. Hot water. My hands are usually so dry around this time of year. What about you guys? What do you guys do to help your dishpan hands? I hope you all can hear me. I'll wash them again. All right. I'm even go as far, guys, to take the dish towels that I used when I prepared the turkey and throw them in the washer. Okay, so let me just show you. I'm going to take the phone and show you. There's our turkey so far. Excuse the beautiful camera work. All right, so I keep meaning to put this stuff in a shaker because it's much easier to get out and spread it evenly with a shaker. This has got sage and ginger, a little bit of pepper in it. I'm trying to think what else. Thyme, rosemary, all ground. Like I said, this is what my mama used when I was growing up, and I love it. I put it in quite a few things. And then you want to make sure you get enough salt, not salt, pepper. All right, so he's all peppered up. And now I'm going to open up the bacon. Yeah, I'm going to use the whole pound of bacon. I'm going to cook him at 325. I think I already said that. And I assume that it's a him because it said Tom Turkey on the package, okay? So I'm going to get a piece of paper towel. I like to use paper towel when I cook. It makes it easier to clean up. I know it's an expense, but we use rags and whatnot when we clean, and paper towel really lasts quite a bit. And whenever you're using something with poultry or pork or anything that could possibly make you sick if it got contaminated, paper towel is the way to go. All right, so I'm just gonna lay the bacon basically over the breast. And what this does is it imparts a nice smoky flavor. And it kind of makes the turkey almost self-basting. So it makes the breast very juicy so it doesn't dry out. And of course, I will baste it about every hour. I will throw some broth in there, you know, to keep it moist. I will tent it with tin foil after it gets a little brown. Again, I'm just carrying that bacon all the way to the bottom. I'm going to even wrap some around the legs so that they get that nice flavor too. If I had a bigger turkey, I would use 2 packages. I've done that before. This is something that my ex-mother-in-law, God rest her soul, taught me a very long time ago. And it's something that I have carried on the tradition with. It's really, really delicious. And the bacon, whenever the turkey comes out of the oven, we just all take turns kind of picking at it, because the turkey flavors the bacon too. The last few pieces I'm just gonna lay over the top of the ones that I put around the breast. I'm just gonna drape it there. This I got for sale at ShopRite this week for $2.99. Not too bad. I'm gonna use the side of my hand to get some soup. Now, the turkey is all ready to go into the oven. I'm going to get a nice big baking pan to put underneath. And like I said, I would have used my roasting pan, but guys, I want to make it as easy as I can for us this year. So, there you have it. I'm going to wait till my sausage balls come out in 5 minutes. And then I'm going to put turkey in, and he should cook for about 2.5 hours. I will check him at each hour mark, and I will be back. Here is our broccoli spinach casserole all done and out of the oven. Again, the light over here makes it look darker than it actually is. It's actually perfectly browned on top, and it's got a nice custardy consistency, which is awesome. So I am just going to cover that and leave it on the back of our stove. Took our sweet potatoes out of the hot water, letting them rest, and the skin should peel right off when I'm ready to make our sweet potato casserole. Now the next thing that I'm going to make is a small ham. This is about 3.5 pounds, and I'm going to be making it in my Instant Pot. I decided not to make the glaze from scratch, so I just bought some jarred glaze. It's just as good, and I have brushed it all over our ham. There's a little bit extra, but that's okay. And I am going to wrap it in this heavy duty tin foil. I've got my silicone trivet in here. If you want to use the metal one that came with it, that's fine. And I've got a cup of water. And this is going to cook for 3 minutes per pound. So this is almost 4 pounds. It's a little bit over 3.5. So I'm going to do it for 12 minutes, and then I'm going to add 10 minutes for the heavy duty tin foil, so it'll go 22 minutes. Okay guys, let me try to adjust the camera a little bit. Alright, so let me move my spray. So I have been cooking for a while and you've been with me. So the turkey is out of the oven. I will show it to you in a moment. I got my white potatoes boiling. Let's see if you can see the steam. Nah, it's not coming over into the frame. I have the spiral, well, it's not spiral. I have our little ham in the Instant Pot, and now I am going to do our sweet potato casserole. Okay, if you remember our sweet potatoes, they had been boiling until they were soft in the middle. A fork went right through them. So basically all you have to do now is just peel the skin off like that. See how easy that is, guys? And if you wanted to use your Instant Pot to do that, you most certainly could. It would take much less time. However, even though I have two, I wanted to save my Instant Pot for the ham. That way I could be, you know, multifunctional. And I'm just gonna cut this icky end off right there. Just gonna put it in our bowl right here. Now, we only have 4 people eating with us today. If you had more, you might want to double this. You know, for me, since I'm diabetic and all this stuff is so carby, I will only take like a spoonful of each one. You know, and then I'll kind of go from there because I don't want to overdo it, and I'll bulk up on the proteins and the veggies, because there's plenty of veggies. I really love the broccoli spinach casserole. That's my favorite. And I'll have a little bit of corn. You know, it's basically just like a taste here and there. Now, ordinarily I would make my own gravy, but like I said, this is sort of like a semi-homemade Thanksgiving because I'm just not feeling all of that. I mean, almost everything I made was homemade, so I think that I did pretty good. And I have quite a few jars that I was blessed with from the food pantry this year, so we're going to use some of that up. So you all know that I can make all that stuff from scratch anyway. Sometimes you got to give yourself a little bit of grace, guys. Let yourself rest a little bit, enjoy the company of your family, and not be behind the stove. As it is, you know, I'm in this little square quite a bit today. That's okay, because you guys know I like to be here and I like to cook. Alright, so see how fast that was? That is all of them. I'm going to rinse my hands real quick. And I've been making these for so long that I don't really follow an ironclad recipe. So let me just put this over here. So I'm going to tell you what I use. Sorry that my back is to you. And then we'll go from there. So I like to put a smidge of nutmeg, probably like 1/4 teaspoon, and a tablespoon of cinnamon. I really like cinnamon in it. Then about 1/4 cup of maple syrup. That makes all the difference. And then a stick of butter. And probably, I don't want to make them too runny, but probably I would say like 1/4 cup of milk. But I'm going to eyeball it. And then you just put a pinch of salt in it to offset all that sweetness. So I'll be right back after I get them mixed. I'm going to use my hand mixer to mix them. So there's our mashed sweet potatoes for sweet potato casserole. And what you're seeing is the butter that didn't melt because the sweet potatoes aren't hot. But don't worry, that is going to melt when I put it in the oven to bake off. It bakes for about 25 minutes and that will all bake. And it's supposed to be lumpy. It's not supposed to be smooth like a whipped mashed potato, you know, because sweet potatoes are very fibery. So I am going to butter my casserole dish. Then I'm going to put the sweet potatoes in it. And I am going to bake it for 30 minutes. And then I'm going to put my mini marshmallows on top. And I'm just going to keep a close eye on them because the oven is very hot and you don't want them to turn into liquid, and they will. So usually it's anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes to get them a little brown. Okay, so I drained my potatoes and my hands are clean and my hair is clean. So I know I just touched my hair, but there's no hair on my hand. So I am going to now whip my mashed potatoes. And a special ingredient that I like to put in my mashed potatoes most of the time is cream cheese. This is full fat cream cheese. This is the Philadelphia brand. I did get it on sale this week at ShopRite. It was $1.59 a brick. That's not bad. I might have to go back and get a few more and freeze them. I only needed one, so I'm going to add that whole brick in there. That's going to give it a creaminess. Sounds a little crazy, I know. That's part of the reason why I'm showing you how to do this, because I know you all know how to make mashies. And then probably about 10 cracks of fresh pepper and half a teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to eyeball it. I can always add more later, right? And half a stick of butter. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so remember, we don't need that much butter in these because, and let me just rinse my hands, because we've got the cream cheese. Cream cheese, not cream cheese. I'm alright. And then I'm just gonna do a little bit of milk. You know, and the cream cheese will kind of make it nice and rich. Let me take my spatula out of there. I'm gonna get these all up and then I'll show you. All right, and there they are. They taste good, they look good. I'm just gonna leave them in the pot till it's time to serve them up. Okay guys, so we are in the home run. Let me try to fix this camera again. I gotta take out this nice tripod that Candy had gotten me a year or so ago for my birthday. I'm so bad. So we are melting a stick of butter in a nonstick pan. Yes, a whole stick of butter. Then we're going to add about, what is this? It is a pound. A pound of these sliced carrots. They're crinkle cut. I got them from the food pantry not too long ago. So I figured I would use them. I do have fresh, but I'm going to use those for some other things. And I needed to use these up before they get freezer burned. So I figured, let's save some time and let's use these. They'll be just as good. I'm going to make them honey glazed. So that's the reason why I am melting the butter. So I'm going to melt the butter. I'm going to add about, let me think, about a 1/4 cup of honey. Use any honey that you have on hand. And then I'm going to combine the two of them and then I'll add our carrots in. I'm also going to be making kind of corn, also courtesy of the food pantry. I'm just going to add some butter to that, keep it simple. And I'm going to be making green beans almondine from some canned green beans with some almonds and some butter. So I will be back to show you all that. Okay, figured that while I am waiting for the honey to melt into the butter, I would just talk a little bit. I hope that your Thanksgiving is going well. I wanted to let you guys know that I have just over 400 subscribers. I have 401. Thank you so much to everybody for joining my little community. I look forward to growing it. I think that this is awesome. I can't wait to get to 1,000, not only so I can be monetized, but because I like to get to know you guys. I've got a bunch of really great subscribers here, and I love talking with you guys and getting your takes on different things and just learning from each other. Okay, so I'm going to show you this. So when the honey and the butter mixture gets to about this point, you want to just let it do its thing for about a minute. That way it'll all combine nicely. Now I'm going to add the carrots into that, and I'm going to let them cook for a few minutes. Now, mind you, they are frozen, so this might get a little watery, and I might have to add a little bit more butter and honey. All right, on to our green beans, almondines, while our carrots carrot, and then back pot. All right, so I've got the last stick of butter, and I've got a small onion that I have diced, and I'm going to turn up the heat, and I'm going to let it saute, and then I am going to add a half a cup of sliced almonds, and I'm just going to mix them in, and I'm just going to cook them until they're a little soft. And then I have two 15-ounce cans of French-style green beans. I'm going to add those after draining them. I'm going to put a few pinches of salt, and that's it. I'm just going to mix it all together and heat it through. Now, normally, I'm just going to put the heat up, guys. Normally, what I would do is I would use frozen. Sorry about my fingers there. I actually stopped the recording button. So usually, like I said, I would use frozen about a 10-ounce bag, maybe a 20-ounce bag. It depends on how I'm feeling. I like to make a lot of this because I really like this. This is one of my favorite side dishes. I'm not going to need to add a lot of salt here because it's canned green beans that I'm using instead, and I'm using that because that's what I had, and I received those from the food pantry as well. So multiple blessings from the food pantry this holiday season. I'm ever so grateful. Now I'm going to let these onions soften in the butter, and then I'm going to add the almonds. Okay, guys, so I have added my green beans. I am stirring them around. I'm just going to heat them through. I put the pinch of salt in, and these are my carrots. They are beautifully glazed. I tasted them. They're delicious. And I also have in my oven my stuffing. Sorry about the camera work again, guys. My stuffing and my sweet potatoes, they've been in there for about 15 minutes. I did put a pat of butter in each corner of the stuffing pan. Here is our beautiful turkey. I've taken the bacon off of it. Let me show you that. There it is on the leg. There's the bacon. Now I'm just going to carve it. I'm just going to do one side because we have the ham as well. I'll be right back. Hey everybody, here is our Thanksgiving dinner. We've got our mashed potatoes, our corn, our roast turkey with bacon. We've got our glazed ham, canned cranberry sauce, some applesauce, the broccoli, spinach casserole, green beans almondine, our sweet potato casserole, glazed carrots, cornbread stuffing, some gravy, and that's everything. I hope that you guys have enjoyed making this video with me and watching me cook my Thanksgiving dinner. Thanks for keeping me company. Hey guys, just a quick little snippet here. So when I was editing the clips for this video, I noticed that instead of me taking a video of the last part, which was my kids telling you guys what they liked about dinner and what their favorite sides were, I took pictures instead. Oops. So I guess I was a little tired. Oh, sorry guys. So I will share with you that Gianna loves the sweet potato casserole. That's one of her favorites. And Matthew likes it too. His favorite is the stuffing with the cranberry sauce and gravy, and well, he's pretty much like a walking vacuum. He'll eat anything. So those were their favorites. I hope that you enjoyed cooking Thanksgiving dinner with me. I hope you all had a blessed, wonderful, filling Thanksgiving holiday, and that you're having a nice Thanksgiving weekend. I look forward to sharing more videos with you, and I am sending love from New Jersey as always. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.